Hello, everyone.
Hi.
I have to say that I find it quite impressive that at this time of the festival, you're still willing to sit in a room and listen to people talk to you or with each other. So thank you for coming and thank you for your attendance. And Nicole and I, we would actually like to start this with playing a little video. And in that video, we see you revisiting, I think for the first time, a site where you started some of the first techno parties in Beirut in Lebanon.
Correct.
And let's have a look at this and then talk about it.
That was actually the turning point of my life, this place. It was a fantastic party, but then I got expelled because of it. I probably think if it wasn't for this party, I wouldn't be where I am today. Really. All these obstacles and the battles that I fought made me who I am today.
So, Nicole,
Hi.
you were born in Nigeria and then you grew up in both England and in Lebanon.
Yeah.
So can you give some background to what happened? What made you start these parties in Beirut? And what was the political situation at that time in Beirut? And maybe also the music scene?
It was non-existent. So I graduated from London and came back to Beirut because the family wanted me to come back. They tried to, obviously my family is very traditional and this type of culture and background. I broke away from it because one day I was in New York, I discovered the artist in me on a dance floor. And
that was with Danny Tenaglia?
It was with Danny Tenaglia. And I wanted to get into the music world, which was unacceptable back then. I went against the grain, and I still ventured in it. It was after the war, around 96, 7, and I started doing parties. And they were amazing. I got the first DJs ever. Back then, they never heard of anything called DJ. And one day, it was during Halloween, and while the country was coming out of the war, they wanted to live and enjoy themselves. So during Halloween, the gays of the city took this opportunity to come and party. And so they dressed in a very flamboyant way, obviously. And during that time, Lebanon wasn't independent. It was very much under the Syrian influence. So at that party, we had undercover agents who consequently published in a 5-spread magazine, equivalent of GQ or Tatler or Vogue or whatever you want to call it back then. So it was all over the Middle East, Nicole Moudaber promoting perversion and homosexuality. So from that point, they asked me to come down to the station, to the moral police, and they wanted to put me in jail for it. And that was the turning point of my life. It was scandalous. and very harsh. Had I not have contacts, I would have been in jail, but I was lucky, and I got out of it. And from that point, I left the country completely, and I thought this was really too small for me, and here I am promoting arts and culture, and they want to put me in jail for it. So I went to London, and I stayed there ever since. I never talked about this incident. I wanted to suppress it, forget it, delete it completely. But coming back to Beirut, it's been now 3-4 years. I've been playing there, just playing.
But it means for almost 20 years you didn't come back?
Not really.
And you never DJ'd there until
Recently, yeah. Which is amazing, because the welcome that they're giving me, especially the young new generation now, seeing me like an idol and a fighter and a warrior and a hero, and it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice.
Okay. So you left Beirut for London. Did you feel, I mean, did you have a clear idea when you arrived in London what you wanted to do with your life?
I went into promoting parties, so that was my passion, music. I booked about 500 DJs in my life every month. Paco Osuna was one of the artists that he got his first UK booking from me back then. So I kind of liked the programmation musically during the night, and I think this is what stamped my ears, and this is what I do today, because I kind of understand it really well. So this is what I do now.
And Nicole, why techno?
Not just techno. I don't consider myself just techno. I mean, I play all kinds of music across the board, and I'm proud to say that I do it really well in each genre.
Yeah. But why did you fall in love with electronic dance music? Why?
I don't know. It was a revelation. It was an aha moment for me on the dance floor. The drums reached me, and it spoke to me. It spoke to my soul. And since that point, it was the only vehicle that heals me in life, is music. And I feel that I'm giving this to my fans, because I don't see myself just as an entertainer. And I've noticed the last 2 years, people come to me, cancer patients, or people in depression, or even people met on my dance floor and got married. And I kind of had a purpose, because I don't just want to come in and play records. This is not what I want to do. That's not my purpose. I would like to have more of an impact. And it's turning into this. I'm kind of like this spiritual healer for 8 hours. Stepping out of your ordinary and getting enchanted and leaving the real world for a minute. Okay. This is how I'd like to see myself.
Yes. I mean, Nicole, quite literally, you've got a voice that's being listened to around the world, literally, because your radio show, In the Mood, I think it's being broadcasted by over 80 FM stations in more than 50 countries in the world. Was there a moment for you where you realized that you were inspiring other people?
Yes, it was through that. It's a great medium. I've been doing it for 5 years now. And it reaches 25 million every week, which is a staggering number. When I heard it, I was like, oh my God. So it's a big responsibility and a big commitment, and I take it very seriously. And I try to, not preach, it's not the word, because I'm against that word. Try to help as much as I can, and showing the positive side of life through my music.
And when you were in London and you went from promoting parties to DJing yourself and then producing yourself, did you have any people that inspired you or that were mentors to you?
Honestly, I learned everything on my own. Um, Obviously, I have many inspirations, but I was never taught to do anything. I'm self-taught in that sense. Um, Carl Cox was the first one that discovered me and discovered my music
How did that happen?
through my productions. He was the first one to pick them up and play them on his radio show. Consequently, after that, I became one of his residents at his Tuesday nights at Space. I did that
On Ibiza.
in Ibiza for 7 consecutive years with him. I think my career really took off when I won my first award in the States, and after that my second award, and a few nominations after that. So I'm inspired by beauty, I'm inspired by humanity, I'm inspired by people and by feelings. That's what inspires me.
Doing your radio show, still promoting several different events and club nights yourself, producing, DJing, what is the combined driving force for you behind all of this? Why do you still do it after so many years?
I have to say, I'm taking a little break this year, so I'm not doing as much, and that is only because I'm more balanced. The frantic schedule that I had for the last 6 years was fueled by pain and anger and betrayal. And I could say it worked for me, but emotionally it didn't. But my career took off because of the drive and the pain, I would say, because I didn't want to feel anything, so I dove in working 24/7, which affected my mental and physical health during that time. I had skin problems because of it, which I never said this before. Excuse me.
Nicole, I mean, from the outside, your career in the past years really has only been going up. So what you're saying is that the problems that you were facing, they were not in contrast to this career, but they were kind of fueling this career. Are you okay to talk a little bit more about the reasons for
The reasons?
for these problems that you had?
I think, it's psychosomatic. When you're in pain or any kind of emotion, I'm not saying everyone, but most people do get, physical problems or health problems because of it. And to keep the balance when your career is taking off and you have this going on, it's really hard.
And a lot of it was because of the lifestyle that DJs are living, or?
No, I lived a very healthy lifestyle until last year. Started having shots, but no, I didn't have any alcohol, any drugs during that time. I was super focused.
But what did you struggle with, or where did the problems come in?
Family issues.
Your father died 7 years ago?
Yes. And I actually never had a father. He was there, but I never really had a father. My mom as well. So they were pretty much busy with themselves. But I could say, when he got ill for the last year and a half, we got closer, and I had him for a year and a half. So that's a good thing, yeah. I guess. So yeah, it was a painful journey. It was a painful journey, and I have a spiritual healer right now in my life that is helping me go through that, and I would like to give it to the people I connect with. I would like to give my knowledge to the people I connect with through music.
So I mean, probably this healer was part of the solution, but how did you overcome
Time.
this?
You can't overcome it except with time. And also having a different perspective. Sometimes, you know, when you are in a bath of emotions, you don't see anything from the outside until one day you snap and you snap out of it. And that is, you know, a blessing when you see the other side and another point of view, another perspective of seeing the problem. And yeah, so this helps.
What would you say, where are you now in your life?
I am at a stage where I can look back and give myself a tap on the shoulder, which I couldn't do before. And I didn't get it from anybody except my fans. But now I can look at myself and say, oh my God, yeah, you've done all that, not bad.
Great.
I can say that.
Nicole, I'd like to change the subject to something lighter, maybe.
Yes.
But for many people in the audience, maybe who have no idea about the life that DJs are living, we're right at the moment, maybe at the peak of the festival season. What does that mean for a DJ like you? What does festival season mean? What is
No sleep, double shows in one day, on the road.
But how many like DJ sets do you play a week, or how much are you traveling? Can you give an example of a typical weekend that you're having at the moment?
I mean, as I said, this weekend I've got 3 shows coming up, back to back. But as I said, I'm not gonna go frantic, because there was a point where I was doing 20 shows in 25 days, which is insane. And that carried on for about 6 or 7 years.
Why were you doing this?
Because I just didn't want to be alone with myself, I guess. Which is a good thing and also a very bad thing.
And these days, when you're traveling, do you travel by yourself, or do you have people that you're traveling with?
I have a tour manager, obviously, he travels with me everywhere. And I've got my peeps wherever I go. And I've got my family, which I call my fans. I kind of grew up to know them personally, and some of them follow me all over the world now. It's incredible.
Can you give some examples of the interaction that you have with your fans, and how do you communicate with them?
Yes, I mean, I'm not Lady Gaga, and I'm not... So I don't have that kind of attitude at all, because I was a fan once, and I know how it is, so I give my time to everyone. If they're here to talk to me, I'm gonna listen to them. So whenever I have time in airports, I reply to my fans, yes. And I grew to know them on a personal level. It's incredible.
And that's from people all over the world? Or?
Yeah, from all over the world.
And is it women in particular?
No, it's a mixture. It's not just, no.
Okay. I mean, something that has happened is that this whole scene that you are part of, and that also we as Beatport are part of, it has really grown more or less worldwide. But I was wondering, I mean, you were born in Nigeria. Have you ever DJ'd in...
Never. No. When I was a kid, I used to have pots and pans and, you know, do the drumming, because I was never allowed to have a drum kit. But no, you know, I think my rhythm came from Africa for sure, because I'm quite rhythmic in my music. But I've never DJ'd, although I'm planning to do something maybe next year.
Okay.
In Nigeria for the first time, yeah.
Good. So today is Thursday. What are you going to do this weekend?
Well, after this, I'm heading to the studio to finish a project of mine.
In Berlin?
Yeah. And tomorrow I leave to Spain, and then Luxembourg, Belgium. The same.
Okay, you still know your schedule.
Yeah.
Okay. Then that's it from me, Nicole, but I would really also take the time and open this up for questions from the audience. Can someone maybe let me know like how much time for how many questions we've still got? Okay, 4 or 5 questions. So does anyone have a question? And then, yeah, we can see them here. Nicole, can you read this? Do you? Yes. Maybe we can also read it out loud, or?
What would you recommend to DJ colleagues with regards to keeping mental health in line together with their career? You know, friends and family actually help if you have any issues. I think it's always good to talk about them and not hold it in, because sometimes we do hold things in and it can transform into a different reality. So it's always good to talk about your issues and your problems. And it's also good to talk to an independent person. I chose a spiritual healer. People can choose, you know, more on the medical side or counseling. And I do think when you are in this state, don't venture into alcohol or any other substances, because it does distort the reality as well, and it becomes a bit harder to get out from.
The second question is if you think that especially in the music industry and in this DJ scene, that mental health issues should be addressed more, and that they are there because of the intense touring schedules, social media.
Well, we are addressing it more and more. I see it. We are addressing it. I don't know if it's coming across for the people who really need it, because I don't see it much around on social media, unless you look for it. But it's not in your face all the time.
I mean, in the last couple of years, could you see when you were talking among colleagues or while traveling that mental health is a topic that is discussed more openly?
It is, yes. And you shouldn't be afraid to talk about it. I mean, there are so many things I would like to talk about. Obviously, today is not a good day for it, but you're not alone. That's the thing. You're not alone. So as long as you feel that you're not alone, you're halfway there. Do you see a change between generations on the dance floors? Do they feel the same? I do see a change, however, the feeling is the same. We have the same emotions, and that's not gonna go anywhere. Whether you're black, white, yellow, Asian, red, whatever color you are. We have exactly the same emotions, and I see it on the dance floor. The behavior on the dance floor has changed. Obviously, everybody's on their phones these days, and you tend to lose the moments. So put your phones down.
I actually have to add to this, because I just realized that this year is the 30th anniversary of me dancing at Berlin techno parties. So I've been doing this now for 30 years, and the situation in clubs in Berlin is a bit different, because you're not allowed to take photos or have your camera out. Yeah. And I have to say, I don't see, I agree with you, I don't see a difference in feeling. It's on the dance floor, and I think that's one of the beautiful things.
Yes.
Everyone is the same.
Yeah, we are the same. And even if we don't speak the same language, we feel exactly the same. Yeah.
Maybe one or two more?
Touring DJs are some of the most frequent flyers of all careers. Which balance between prestige gigs, sustainability, and being a role model do you have? it's hard to keep the balance. It's hard to keep the balance, and I don't want to call prestige gigs because it's not prestige. You play gigs because you want to share your music and because you want to share your art. Every gig is exactly the same, whether you play to 300 or to 50,000. The exact emotion and 100% out of yourself is put in. So, the role model, am I a role model? I don't know. I'd like to inspire people. I've been getting a lot of people coming to me and saying, oh my God, we aspire to be like you. You paved the way to a lot of women and to a lot of boys. Or it's nice to hear this, and it's very touching, but I think my work isn't done yet. I have a lot to give still.
And Nicole, have you thought about the subject of sustainability? Because obviously the job of a DJ requires you, if you don't turn yourself into a hologram, or to fly all around the world several times in a year or even a month. So with regards to climate control and CO2 emissions, is there...
I mean, I started doing this, and I think, as you know, I am involved in a lot of non-profit organizations, and I'm kind of focused on solving kids' cancer, and I'm involved in the Lower East Side girls, which are lower income girls in New York, and I help them a lot with that, and obviously the FGM. I think my next thing will be the environment, and I already began, I changed my rider. No plastic wherever I go, no straws, no plastic bottles. So
no vinyl?
Well, I'm going to come back to that. I'm preparing a tour, just vinyl now. But yeah, vinyl is is a big question. We need to protect our environment because this is all we have, and it might be destroyed in the next 10, 15, 20 years, so we need to act now.
We have to come to an end now, so thank you so much for listening, and thank you, Nicole, so much for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you both so much.